Good evening. I'm standing here today because I have to tell you something that, frankly, I never imagined I'd be saying. Not in a million years did I think we'd reach this point. But here we are, and what I'm about to lay out for you is so extraordinary, so deeply troubling, that I need you to pay very close attention to every word I'm saying. King Charles and Prince William have made a decision that will reverberate through every corner of the British establishment, through the media, through public opinion. They have moved to strip Meghan Markle of her royal title. Now, before you start thinking this is just another chapter in the family drama, before you dismiss this as more palace intrigue or settling of scores, let me stop you right there. This isn't about hurt feelings. This isn't about who said what at whose wedding or who made whom cry over bridesmaid dresses. This is about something far more serious, far more concrete, and frankly, far more damning. What I have in front of me, what has been uncovered through a formal investigation that has been ongoing for 8 months, are official documents, sealed financial records, not rumours from unnamed palace sources, not whispers from disgruntled staff members, hard evidence, documents that reveal a pattern of behaviour that is quite simply shocking. And I don't use that word lightly. I've been in this business a long time. I've seen scandals come and go. I've reported on royal controversies for decades. But what these records show is something else entirely. At the centre of all of this is a hidden bank account. Now, when I say hidden, I don't mean she forgot to mention an old savings account from her acting days. I don't mean some overlooked checking account she opened years ago. I mean a deliberately concealed offshore account established in the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands. Think about that for a moment. Of all the places in the world to put your money, why would you choose one of the most secretive banking jurisdictions on earth? This wasn't about convenience. This wasn't about getting a better interest rate. This was about making absolutely certain that nobody could easily trace what you were doing. The account was opened in November 2019, just months after Archie was born, just months after she and Harry had supposedly begun having serious discussions about stepping back from royal life. Interesting timing, wouldn't you say? But the timing is just the beginning. What happened with this account over the next few months is what makes this truly extraordinary. Between November 2019 and March 2020, a period of just 4 months, there were over 40 separate deposits made into this account, 40 individual transactions. And we're not talking about pocket change here. We're not talking about bits of personal savings being tucked away. The total amount that moved through this account during that 4-month period exceeds £11 million. £11 million. Let that sink in for a moment. Where does that kind of money come from? That's exactly what King Charles wanted to know. That's exactly what Prince William demanded answers to. And when those questions were finally asked, when palace officials began digging into unusual financial activity that had been flagged by the royal household's accounting office, the answers were, shall we say, less than satisfactory. In fact, when Meghan was first questioned about any offshore accounts, she denied knowing anything about them. Complete denial, in writing, in formal communication with the King's private secretary, under circumstances where she knew, or certainly should have known, that she had an obligation to be truthful. But the investigation didn't stop there. And this is where it gets even more troubling. Forensic accountants working with international banking authorities traced the origins of these deposits. At least 14 of them came from corporate entities, not from family, not from friends, not from any obvious legitimate source. These were wire transfers from business structures based in Dubai, Singapore, and Luxembourg. Corporate structures with, and I'm quoting directly from the investigative summary here, unclear ownership structures and no disclosed relationship to the Duchess of Sussex. Think about what that means. While she was a working member of the royal family, while she was representing the crown, while she was using her title and her position on the world stage, millions of pounds were flowing into a secret account from mysterious corporate entities. What were these payments for? What services was she providing? What agreements had been made? These aren't rhetorical questions. These are the exact questions that Charles and William put to their legal team. And after months of investigation, after working with banking authorities across multiple countries, they couldn't get clear answers. The corporate structures were deliberately opaque. The ownership was buried under layers of shell companies. Now, here's the part that absolutely nobody expected. The investigation didn't just find money going into this account, money was going out. Substantial amounts, regular payments. And some of the recipients of these payments are, to put it mildly, eyebrow-raising. One recipient was a media consultant in Los Angeles with known connections to tabloid outlets. Another was a public relations firm specializing in, and these are their own words from their marketing materials, reputation management and strategic narrative placement. Yet another payment went to a digital marketing company focused on social media manipulation and online perception campaigns. Now, pause there for just a moment and let the irony of this wash over you. While Meghan and Harry were publicly complaining about media intrusion, while they were suing newspapers left and right, while they were telling anyone who would listen that the press was destroying their lives and threatening their safety, Meghan had active financial relationships with people whose entire business is built around placing stories in the media and controlling public narratives. Not just once, repeatedly, over more than a year. The payments to these media operatives totaled just over £3 million. £3 million to media consultants while simultaneously playing the victim of media persecution. You couldn't make this up if you tried. It's the kind of hypocrisy that would be funny if it wasn't so calculated, if it wasn't so deliberate. These weren't accidental payments. This was a sustained campaign of, what should we call it, perception management, all funded through a secret offshore account that nobody was supposed to know about. And if you thought that was the extent of it, I'm afraid we're just getting started, because what the investigation uncovered next takes this from troubling to absolutely explosive. Among the documents that surfaced were communications, encrypted messages that were recovered from a device Meghan used during her time at Kensington Palace. These were turned over as part of the financial investigation under proper legal authority. And what they reveal is a level of forward planning, a level of calculated strategy that nobody in the palace anticipated. In one exchange from January 2020, just weeks before the Sussexes made their bombshell announcement about stepping back, Meghan discusses, in her own words, securing the financial infrastructure for post-royal independence. Read that again. Securing the financial infrastructure. This wasn't a spontaneous decision driven by media pressure or family tensions. This wasn't a couple being pushed to the brink and finally saying enough is enough. This was planned. This was calculated. This was being orchestrated months in advance, and the hidden account was an integral part of that plan. In the same message thread, she references establishing clean separation of assets and talks about the importance of maintaining parallel financial systems that cannot be audited by family offices. She knew exactly what she was doing. She understood perfectly well that every working royal's finances are subject to scrutiny and transparency requirements. She knew there was oversight, and she deliberately, systematically created a structure designed to circumvent that oversight. This isn't about wanting privacy. This isn't about asserting independence or autonomy. This is about deception. This is about hiding financial activity that she knew would never be approved if anyone discovered it. But wait, there's more. The investigation also uncovered travel records, not official travel that appeared in the court circular, not the public engagements we all knew about, personal travel that was never disclosed. The hidden account was used to pay for at least 6 separate trips that don't appear on any official itinerary. Flights were booked through private charter companies. Accommodations were arranged through shell companies. Credit cards linked to the secret account covered all the expenses. 3 trips to Los Angeles before the official move. 2 trips to New York. 1 trip to the south of France. All of this while she was still a working duchess. All of this while she was still receiving public funding for her official role. All of this while she was bound by the protocols and expectations of royal service. The total cost of these undisclosed trips exceeds £800,000. £800,000 spent on secret travel while living rent-free in a palace, while using taxpayer-funded security, while enjoying every single privilege that comes with being part of the royal family. And not one of these trips was reported. Not one was disclosed through proper channels. Not one was approved. Now, here's where this gets particularly interesting. When Harry was questioned about these trips during the investigation, he claimed he had no knowledge of them. Official testimony given under oath to Royal Legal Counsel stated that he was unaware of the offshore account, unaware of the payments to media operatives, unaware of the secret travel. So either he's telling the truth, which means his wife was conducting elaborate financial operations behind his back, lying to him repeatedly about where she was going and what she was doing, or he's not telling the truth, which raises an entirely different set of troubling questions about his own involvement and complicity. But either way, the picture that emerges is one of profound dysfunction and profound deception. And it didn't stop when they left. The activity in the hidden account continued after the Sussexes moved to California. Deposits kept arriving, payments kept going out. And here's what I find truly remarkable. Some of the incoming funds during this period came from production companies, entertainment industry entities. Amounts that correspond almost exactly with deals that were publicly announced as joint ventures between Harry and Meghan. The Netflix deal, for example. We were all told this was a partnership, Harry and Meghan, the Sussexes, building their brand together as a team. But the financial reality tells a very different story. According to these documents, a significant portion of the advance payments, money that should have been split or jointly managed, was diverted into an account that Harry apparently didn't even know existed. We're talking about millions of pounds that he had no access to, no knowledge of. His own wife was siphoning money from their joint ventures into a secret account. If that's true, and the evidence suggests it is, that's not just deception of the royal family, that's deception of her own husband. The question that King Charles asked, the question that Prince William asked, the question any reasonable person would ask is simply this. If everything was legitimate, if these were all above-board financial arrangements, why the secrecy? Why the offshore structures? Why the encrypted communications? Why go to such extraordinary lengths to hide all of this from the very family you claim to trust and love? Why pay media operatives in secret if you're genuinely being victimized by the media? Why hide travel if you're simply exercising your right to privacy? And this is what makes the palace's decision not just understandable, but absolutely necessary. This isn't about punishing someone for wanting financial independence. This isn't about controlling personal choices or dictating lifestyle preferences. This is about conduct that is fundamentally incompatible with holding a royal title. When you are a duchess, when you use that title in business dealings, when you benefit from that position and that platform, you are held to a standard. You represent the crown. You represent centuries of tradition. And part of that is transparency, honesty, operating within established rules that exist for very good reasons. Meghan didn't just bend those rules, she systematically dismantled them. She created an entire parallel financial existence designed specifically to evade oversight. She used encrypted communications because she didn't want anyone knowing what she was doing. And she did all of this while still enjoying the benefits and privileges of royal life. That's not independence, that's exploitation. And I don't use that word lightly. When you hide £11 million, when you conceal business relationships while claiming to represent the crown, when you lie in official communications about your financial activities, that meets every definition of fraudulent conduct. The decision wasn't made lightly. King Charles agonized over this for weeks. He understands the implications, the accusations that will come, the media circus that will follow. But he also understands that doing nothing, tolerating this behavior, allowing someone who engaged in this level of deception to continue holding a royal title would do permanent damage to the institution. Prince William was less conflicted. He saw the evidence and his position was immediate. She has to go. The title must be removed. There is no middle ground, no compromise, no way to overlook this. The formal process began 3 days ago. Legal papers were filed. A formal recommendation was made to strip Meghan of the title Duchess of Sussex and bar her from using any royal styling. The King approved it yesterday. Prince William added his consent this morning. Within weeks, possibly days, Meghan Markle will no longer be a duchess. And she'll have to answer very serious questions about where all that money came from and where it went. This is about behaviour, about choices, about deception that is incompatible with royal responsibility. The truth matters, and the truth is finally